Sometimes when you're looking for something to play, something new to play, you might browse Steam for something in particular. You want a game that's hard, or you want a game where you can shoot things. You want a game where you can pet dogs. Enter the Gungeon excels in that in every regard. It gives a solid challenge, it gives you a whole bunch of colorful guns to shoot, and yes, you can even pet the dog. It's beautiful. Now, of course, the game isn't just that. First and foremost, it's a dungeon crawling roguelike filled with enemies that are just waiting to kill you. It's got the typical rules of a roguelike: advance as far as you can, die, then start all over again. But with Gungeon, the main draw of the game is, well, the guns, obviously. I mean, the game's called Enter the Gungeon, not Enter the funnies. Every time you start a new run, you have a starter weapon that gets the job done, but once you pick up your first gun or item, that's when things start to get really interesting. Some of them are references to other video games, like you've got the Tentacle from Day of the Tentacle, you've got a brick block gun that shoots out Koopa shells, you've got Samus's gun, you've even got the Macho Brace from Pokemon of all things, because yeah, the first thing I think about from Pokemon is this. Then you've got some of your general zany items. There's a mallet, there's a literal crutch, and then you've got one of my favorites, the rad gun. It's got a backwards baseball cap, and every time you reload, it does an ollie off of a skateboard. It makes me feel really cool, as if I needed to be any cooler than I already am. Once you've picked up a few of the things the Gungeon has to offer, you'll be cruising along for a bit, but it won't take you long to realize something very important. Yeah, this game doesn't really mess around. You're not gonna last too long in your first few runs. There's a variety of bullet-shaped monsters that you'll face, and they'll get tougher as you progress through the floors. You'll probably end up dying to this, or this. If you're lucky enough, you might die to Leon the Professional in bullet form. Even when you begin a run, or even if you're just starting the game for the first time, you can get some pretty rough rooms. I mean, just look at this mess. This is just on the first floor. Honestly, it can be pretty excruciating, and having to start from scratch repeatedly, just over and over again, can be frustrating. But with each new run, you'll notice that you'll do just a little bit better than the last time. You'll notice that the next time around, you'll dodge a bullet you didn't before, or read a pattern that you missed last time. Flipping tables and strafing through bullets will come a lot more naturally. Maybe you'll get to a floor that you've never visited before, or find a secret that'll help you on your way. Your skills against these QT walking ammunition with faces will improve. You'll play run after run, and before you realize it, you've sunk over 80 hours in Steam, bought the game again on the Switch, and logged another 35 hours on top of that. Enter the Gungeon just has so much replayability to it. You really will just keep sinking runs into this game, because not only is it satisfying to slowly get better at this game and see how far you'll get in the Gungeon, you also unlock stuff as you go on. New guns and items unlock in reward for completing certain objectives, like beating bosses and reaching floors for the very first time. These unlockables scale with the challenge. The harder the challenge, the better the weapon you'll get. Additionally, you can even save NPCs from the depths of the Gungeon, and in return, you can either buy weapons from them that you'll then be able to find in your upcoming runs, or they can modify your next run to switch it up a bit if you're thinking this game isn't hard enough. Now, you might be sitting there on your computer, and you start thinking, gosh, I wish I could play this game with a good old Fredward. The good answer is, you can. Enter the Gungeon allows two people to play at once. One player selects one of the many Gungeoneers, and the second player selects the Cultist, a co-op exclusive character. This all sounds good, but there's only one issue. You can't play co-op unless Snively Fredward has got his ass firmly planted on the couch next to you, because this game doesn't have online co-op. Yeah, sad downside, but one that does have a third-party workaround. If you want to play Enter the Gungeon online, I'll suggest you look into a program called Parsec. If you use it, you can share your screen view of the game with a friend online. I'm not going to take a 5-minute section out of this video to shill it out, but Parsec does really work great for this game, as long as you have a solid internet connection. Go download it, try it out, and you'll be ruining your friendship with Fredward in no time.
Mission complete!
With all of that said, it may seem that I have nothing but endless praise for this game, but I do have some complaints. One of my gripes with this game is that it can sometimes be hard to distinguish your own bullets from the enemies. This is particularly difficult with weapons where the bullets are a similar color to the enemies. This is more of an issue in co-op than single player, since you might confuse your partner's bullets with an enemy's. Not to mention co-op brings with it another problem: the camera. The camera is just fine in single player, but in co-op it can be easy for the two of you to split up and be hit by a bullet that you couldn't see off screen, just because the camera is focused more on one player than the other, and it doesn't pan out when the two players are separate. This leads to what I feel like are cheap hits, or even potentially cheap deaths. Another issue that I've found when playing the Switch version of Enter the Gungeon is frame rate issues. Sometimes when there's just too many bullets on the screen, the game will slow down dramatically. It is definitely noticeable, as you can see here. I mean, seriously, look at this. What the hell is going on here? This isn't so bad on the earlier floors, but on the later floors, it can get kinda hectic. Despite these issues, it didn't affect the fun that I had with this game. I've completed several runs of my own, and in co-op, I've beaten almost all of the pasts with my wife. It's an incredibly hard, sometimes feeling like a borderline impossible game, but it makes up for it with its charm, tight gameplay, and rewarding replayability. And you know what? If you pick up the game and you find out that it's just not for you, at the very least you can always select the hunter and just pet the dog for however long you want. Yeah. Now that's just nice.